Welcome to another edition of Believe in Giants. Bob Papa with not one, but two Super Bowl champions. Of course, Carl Banks, my co-host, and two-time Super Bowl champion Phil Simms, who also hosts the Simms Complete podcast here on Believe. And I encourage everybody who's watching, make sure you subscribe if you're listening on however you listen to your podcast. If you're watching on the Believe Network, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Carl, it's that time of year, quarterbacks, and who better to have than a two-time Super Bowl champion quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, there are a lot of experts that have never played that are much smarter than Phil Simms, and they say if you pat the football, you're not a very good quarterback. What say you, Phil?
I tell you what, yeah, but my son, I can't even take credit. My son, Christopher, yesterday, they just took that theory and just smacked it everywhere and out the door. And if we bring it up again, I don't know what to say. I don't want to hear it because he made a great point about this patting the football. If some DB can read it and make the break and get the interceptions, he's the greatest damn athlete in the history of the world because that pat and throw, it's so quick. What and who's going to be what? Oh, he patted it out. Where am I going? Where his eyes are? It's crazy. And the best point he made, the West Coast offense. And Bill Walsh, when he came to Morehead State in 1979 to work me out, he was actually talking to me about, well, pat the ball and get the rhythm to throw the ball so you'll throw it softer. And, so that was part of the thing. Back, read it, hitch, pat, throw. And there is a great rhythm to that. And it's nothing to worry about. A lot of people do it. I don't even know if I did it or not.
Of course you did. I think if you look at the flea flicker, I think in the Super Bowl or whatever.
Yeah,
you're patting it.
Yeah. I mean, well, like I said, I don't know. It's part of what there's a lot to it. I don't even know. It's not even a good example. Waggle in the club and golf. Get a little swing there. Okay, I'm ready. I can see Bob shaking that thing, and then he gets ready to hit it. It helps you out a little bit. So
they loose. I think Dan Marino might have patted it a few times.
Dan Marino did, yeah. Just
Elway certainly did. That was John Elway.
He would hit it so hard it's a wonder didn't lose the air. I mean, it wasn't a pat, that was a smack. And didn't hurt his career, did it?
No.
So, all right. Well, that damn theory and talking point and whoever. How did it all start? With some fan watching and made this?
Well,
or who did it?
Someone. Yeah, it was some fan. And then a player jumped in, a kid from Jacksonville, and then a bunch of other guys. I'm like, I can't believe this is actually a conversation. Do you guys even watch film? Like, it's just like everybody passed the football. So, so we are here, and it's kind of Looney Tunes season in terms of projecting who's going where. Right? We know the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in this draft are Sanders, it's Ward, Sanders, Dart, and probably Milroe. And then I guess the other kid, Couch is his name?
Tyler Shough.
Shough.
He's going to go high. He's going to go somewhere. One of these teams that needs a quarterback, he'll go somewhere in the second round. I don't know if somebody would trade, everybody always, they'll trade back in the first to get that fifth. I don't know about that either. He's a good, solid player, really played well at Louisville. Decision, absolutely, this is thrown around too much. He played in a pro offense. His coach and offensive coordinators, Jeff Brom, I watch a lot of their games. I watched Tyler Shough's basically whole season. It is a pro football offense. So I think that helps a little bit, but
Can you talk a little bit about that, Phil, the pro offense, kids that in college that run pro offenses, what does that do in terms of obviously they got to prepare at a pro level, but does it give them a better mental mindset of understanding how the game is played?
Yeah, I think it makes the transition easier. You're going to see, when I say pro offense, I'm talking about college offenses and coaches who call the plays are running NFL plays. The NFL, there's probably 15 to 20 plays easily in the pass game where every team in the league runs them. And a lot of college coaches, who I know, quite a few of them, they get all their, what I'm going to say, new ideas by watching pro football during the offseason. and seeing the plays and seeing the defenses. And quite honestly, it's everyone that I watch and say, wow, that is truly a pro offense. The quarterbacks have one thing in common. Usually they play really well. So Louisville, their quarterback really played well, not to get ahead of anything. But you look at Jaxson Dart, man, they got every damn swing and play in the world in that offense. And a lot of them are exactly what we see every Sunday, what the Giants run. And Jaxson Dart does a really good job with it.
So let's take them piece by piece, because I know you and Matt on the Sims Complete podcast, did a breakdown of these guys. And
but let me just do this before you get going. No, just because it's talked about a lot now, whatever, and about pro days, Bob. And I like pro days a lot, because now the player has a chance to go out there and kind of show off. That's what you want to see. And that showing off and what they do on that field is kind of their ceiling in the game. So, and I bring this up and people get on me about it, but just take Shedeur Sanders. There's a lot of talk. And I'll get to this subject too. When they say he's falling, in whose eyes are guys falling and rising? Well, everybody that does all these rankings and all that, I commend them. It's a tough job. And they got him, and they're just mad and astounded that it's not what they had. But now the NFL world has gotten in on it, and their opinions are different from the guys who are trying to, evaluate this draft. They're not connected to teams. So that's why guys fall, because we're having NFL personnel people judging them and changing the thought or what the public thinks and changing it, and it always creates a little bit of an uproar. So,
well, yeah, and you have 32 teams, and if you go into each building, there'll be a tremendous variation on each individual team's boards compared to another team on how they view guys. Because one thing that none of the experts on the outside, when they start stacking all this stuff, you don't have their medicals, and you didn't sit through a whole bunch of interviews with them.
Right.
And that's a factor too.
There's a lot there. And, my last thing about the pro days, like I said, you get to see the ceiling of where they can be once they correlate it and start incorporating it into their play on the field, which they do usually during the regular season. But, when I just said this about Shedeur, he had a chance to go out there. It was batting practice. Let's hit it over the fence a bunch. And no, they just put it in play. And all right, we've done all the work. But I thought it was just an opportunity to really show off some of the things you didn't have a chance to show off with in the Colorado offense, which I have a lot of debates on that too. I don't know how close you've watched Colorado's offense, but it's spread every play. And, it's tough. Carl, you got spread and you got college linemen in there. And if you blitz it, they don't know who the hell to look at. And that led to a lot of problems with Shedeur.
Yeah, you can tell he had a lot of problems there. His sack ratio was pretty high. Okay, so I want to, if I could tie a bow on this pro day thing, Phil, when you think about projects, right, you say you see a guy and you see this is what he could do. And then you have to say, okay, how does he fit within what we do? If you see a guy who's got all the tools, right? Fast, strong arm, it just never translated to the level that will put him a sure thing. How do you project a development guy, right? Do you have the runway to develop a guy? Do you have enough quarterbacks on your roster to bring him along? Do you have people on your staff that can help develop a kid? Are all those things taken into consideration?
Man, it's a lot, Carl. Bob, it is. I would say this word, we're going to develop somebody, is the most overused phrase about quarterbacks in history. I mean, how much time do we have to develop them? We're not in college where he sits for a year. We redshirted him. Now we got another year and a 2-year, and then we get great years after that. That doesn't happen in the NFL. The suffering period has gone from whatever it was, 2 years probably for a quarterback to really show where he can be in his good days. It's cut down now because everybody's impatient, owners, fans, media, and we just jump on everything. So, to go back to what you kind of see people do on their own or whatever, all you need is a lot of rep, a lot of just the thing about the pros, the teaching, the film work, and, a little different. You have a chance to improve and develop and be ready to go somewhere in midseason, but no later than the second year. You got to go when it comes around to the second year with these young quarterbacks.
And listen, it's another story for another day, but the CBA of 2011 changed the world. I mean,
Sure.
The players are not allowed in the building in certain parts of the offseason, whereas a guy that you were trying to develop could be in there every day, studying film, being around coaches, talking through it, throwing with somebody 2-a-days in training camp and all the more reps. I mean, that's a whole nother story for another day. That's why it's become a microwave league. But Phil, in your opinion, is Cam Ward, it appears Tennessee's going to take him, is he the best prospect in this draft in your eyes?
Yeah, to me, it's not even close. There's a wide gap between him and whoever's number 2. And, go back to everything, watch his games. They're not good. They're astounding. And it's 5, 6, sometimes 8 or 10 great plays in the game. And they include everything: on the run, moving out of the pocket, going right and left, or just standing back there and being Nolan Ryan and just throwing balls that nobody else in college would even try to let it go. He's really been – so the more I studied him and watched him, I kept going, damn. And then I looked him up, and, of course, it was really funny. He was doing things in games, and the University of Louisville, when they played them, it was hilarious. Him and Tyler Shough, it was just an unbelievable shootout, just one great play after another. But I saw him do a thing, and I said, oh, my God, he had to be a baseball player. Had to be. Because he got the ball, and he acted like he was a shortstop who caught it quick and was going to make the double play, and he was throwing missiles with it. And, of course, I look it up. He was a very, very good baseball player. Shortstop, third base, did some pitching and a little catching. And then, of course, he admits or says he was the best basketball player at the University of Miami. And nobody disagreed with that. So all these things I think are important. And then not only did he show it in his pro day, he has the film, but then he went another level with it in his pro day. And I got to tell you, I watched it when this is big time. I mean, really big time. These are, I don't know what guys, when I'm watching him throw, I'm going, are you watching this? This is, it was really good. But he's done it in games. Carl, he can stand flat-footed and just keep his body still, just take his arm and throw the damn thing 20, 30 yards down the field on a line drive. And I mean, it gets there fast. And But the other thing with him is he's not going to be a 70% completion guy, or probably not even a 65, because when he sees guys down the field, if they got a little window, he goes, hell, that's all I need. And, so he takes a lot of big throws that maybe change his stats just a little bit, which his stats are incredible. But he's that kind of quarterback, and there's many reasons why he separated himself from the rest of the quarterbacks in this draft. But you see him when you watch him.
So, okay, let's go back. Let's go now to the rest of them, right? Yeah. I want to talk about Milroe, because he's starting to get a lot of buzz, and I will tell you, I'll be the first to tell you, Phil, I don't watch these kids like you do. I'm a casual when I'm watching college football, and if something jumps off the screen on a particular day, I'm like, wow, that was nice. But Milroe, every time I've seen him, he's running, right? I did not evaluate him, but every game I turn on, all of his highlights of him are of him running and not, doing quarterback stuff. How did you evaluate him?
Wow. Let's say this. Anytime you have the ability, and there are a few exceptions, to really run like he does, that's going to take away from something. Because when in doubt, run. Oh, I don't quite like it. It's open, but it's a little tight for me. Run. And then finding second and third receivers are usually a lot of times not in the process, because first one's covered. Oh, there's a little lane. Let's go. And he is a dynamic runner. He's a big dude. He does have a really good arm. Is he a polished passer? Absolutely not. And the word develop. Oh, we got to bring him in. We're going to develop him. Okay, let me see that. How are we going to do that? And you can do it, but you got to have somebody that really knows what he's talking about and how to do it, because you're going to change him in many ways. And people always bring up, well, how about Lamar Jackson? Hey, totally different. Lamar was a passer, a thrower, and a runner in college. He ran a pro offense. Bobby Petrino was the coach. And I've said this many times, probably to you guys. When I watched him, when he was coming out, I said it's one of the greatest things I've ever watched. Adrian Peterson, Lamar Jackson, Barry Sanders. I mean, there's a couple of guys you'll never forget because they were just off the charts. So, so Jalen Milroe, I'm shocked. I hear everybody, oh, he's mid-first round. Man, the season was rough. It was rough. And I think I was on the bus going to Germany. I said some nice things about Jalen Milroe, but it really fell apart in so many ways. Got pressured, didn't make the right decisions, didn't throw the ball well. And, everybody thinks he kind of corrected everything for his pro day. It was okay. It didn't change my mind any. And it'll be interesting. I would be really, really surprised if he went in the first round. I guess he could go in the second, but it wouldn't surprise me if he goes in the third or fourth round. I just don't have I'm going to watch him a little more before the draft because this kind of caught me by surprise. Oh, mid-first round for Jalen Milroe right now. So I've never seen that watching him. And they talk about only one game, Georgia, which was good, did a great job of managing it. Had to make some first downs at the end of the game to win. He did that, had some unbelievable throws and an incredible run for a long touchdown. But I don't know. So you got a good thought on him, and that's kind of what I think of him too.
So does that mean by him being drafted, let's say out of the first round, that takes more pressure off of him for sure, right? In terms of, okay.
Yes. Now, whatever. Again, we're doing all this stuff, and it's the fans, the media, coach, whatever. But when you go in the second round, it does take pressure off of him, takes pressure off the football team, the franchise, that we have a little time with him, and let's see if we can really get him going in the right direction. And then you always kind of hope with these quarterbacks, first and second rounders, maybe somewhere by the end of the year, you can just go ahead and put him in there for a game and see what we got and build off of that. That's always up there. Tough to do. You don't get in those situations too often, but every once in a while it does happen.
If let's say he doesn't go even in the second round because, let's say he's available in the third round. Is that something like from a Giants standpoint, considering they have two veteran guys there, that could be a place where they would take a swing on a guy?
I would say I'd be surprised, taking a swing at him. Boy, we're getting a lot of different kind of quarterbacks in here in one room. We got, so what I mean is just physically and how they play the game. Now, what are we going to create an offense for all of them? You can kind of create an offense for two, but damn, we're going to get into 3 and 4 guys. I don't know. So I don't see the Giants. I thought about this before I came on. I think the Giants are under a lot of pressure. That could they take Shedeur Sanders at number 3? Absolutely. I think they could. I don't have him rated like that, but who in the hell am I? I don't care. If they see what they want to see in there, then you got to take the guy that you think is your franchise going forward. And if they take him at 3, there's going to be great pressure to develop him, to get him on the field, have him play well, and go from there. But, there's a couple guys at the top of that draft there who are tremendous, and there'll be pressure to take those guys too. So whatever they do, there's going to be a faction of the fan base going to yell and scream.
So there's a chance because they are picking third, which means only 2 players are coming off the board before them. Right. And there's a lot of talk that Cleveland could take Abdul Carter or maybe even Travis Hunter, and Shedeur could be there when the Giants are picking. So give us I know you did it on the Sims Complete podcast. For our audience, though, give us a little breakdown of his game because he is the most scrutinized quarterback in this draft because of who his father is and everything else.
Yeah.
And he's obviously been in the spotlight his entire career. But give us a football breakdown of what you like about him and what are some of the red flags that you might have why you wouldn't take him third.
Well, I'll say this first. He played really big. And, you always look for, and I say this every year, give me 2 reasons physically why the guy has a chance to have success as a quarterback. Don't start out with, well, he just knows how to play. Well, there's a lot of guys that know how to play, but they're 5'6" or whatever, and that's not going to work. So he is a big guy. Christopher was at the combine and was talking to him and stood next to him and everything. He goes, he's the damn biggest 6'1.5" I've ever seen in my life, because he is a big guy. He got long arms, big hands, whatever, can manipulate the football, tough as hell. I mean, he's if he plays as tough in the pros as he did in college, that would be my first teaching point. All right, big guy, got to get rid of the ball. Yeah, can't hang in there to the last second every throw and try to make it as you're getting hit. Because if you do that in the pros, which I found out, and I was not very smart, you stand there and if you keep taking big hits in the NFL, it's just a matter of time before you're going out. So, but he's big, strong. I think he does have a strong arm. He's a very good, I should say, short thrower. In other words, if guys out near the sideline or whatever, he rips them in there. I think there's a weakness in between, in cuts, the routes that are in between the short and the really long ones. I think that's his weak point as far as his throwing. Now, throwing it long, yeah, he loves to do it. He's good at it. He can throw it high up in the air and arch it out there, and that comes in handy too. But that's, to me, that's every quarterback, I think, can do it. If you can't just get back there, well, I shouldn't say I know a few that couldn't. We'll talk about them off the air. But so that's just some of the strengths. And you know what? He does have that personality, and then I'll go into other things that don't count. Or don't count that it's hard to do. But you see he has a personality. He can galvanize players. I'm sure he can take charge of the huddle and be that kind of guy and be a leader. Those are all really, really good. But I think first and foremost, we got to judge him on his talent and not all these other things, because you can have everything I just talked about when you're talking about personnel, all these things. But how long is that going to last? You got to make plays on the field. So. And he did about the best he could with what they were doing out in Colorado. He was under siege a lot. Like I told Carl, always in spread. But, yeah, there won't be much argument if you draft him somewhere in the first round.
So here's the next question I would ask you, Phil. Does geography play a part in the type of quarterback that you want on your team? Meaning, there are guys that play in warm weather, there are guys that play in domes, and there are guys that are going to have to play 8 games outside. And, within division, does that factor in? I'm assuming that all these kids got a strong enough arm, but, does geography play a factor in this stuff?
Well, yeah, Carl, you ask any quarterback, it'd be unanimous, 1 to 32. Yeah, I'll play in the dome. That'd be great. Because it's just perfect. I mean, you feel like a different person in a dome or even good warm weather.
Yeah, I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers last year. 2 of his best games with the Jets came in the state of Florida.
Yeah, there you go. But, Aaron Rodgers is not a guy I'd worry about in any weather throwing
right.
the ball.
But as an older guy coming off a bunch of injuries, he certainly pepped up in the warm weather.
Yeah, well, that's right. The body feels better out there in warm weather. And when you fall on grass, it's, I go back to my days. I'd look at the schedule every year, and I didn't look about who we were playing. It was about how many grass games do we have? And I'd go, oh, my God, we got 3. This is awesome. Some years you look at it and got 1 going to Washington. That's it. And yeah, where you play? Carl, there are certain guys, I couldn't name you any of these guys as I watch them. I think they all can survive in like New York weather. I think when you really talk about certain quarterbacks, the one that always comes to me about weather, it's in Buffalo. Buffalo is a whole different climate from the rest of the world. And you need Josh Allen, good throwers, strong throwers who can spin the football to survive up there. And they're hard to find.
Would you be surprised, Phil, if a team took Jaxson Dart ahead of Shedeur Sanders?
I'd be a little surprised, but not shocked. I think Jaxson Dart is. I've gone everywhere with this guy, and I really have. But what happens is I do more now. I'm really convinced about this. He is really a safe pick. Is he athletically or physically just a super duper, over the top first round pick? No, he's not. But man, he's played pro football down there at Ole Miss. The SEC. The Charlie Weiss is down there, right? It's Charlie, right?
Charlie Jr. Yeah, Charlie Jr.
Yeah, I just want to make sure. The offense has got it all. And Jaxson Dart is really good at finding the right guy, and he does it quickly. Because the SEC, the one thing they do have, man, they got some pass rushing fools, every damn team, or DBs that don't allow guys to get open. But Jaxson Dart, I feel really good about him now, and it's kind of come the last couple of weeks. Just going back, keep watching him. But when he runs, it's always straight ahead. He's got enough speed and mobility to get outside the pocket, and he can really throw the ball on the run very well, too. His arm, I'd say this is not a knock, but it's NFL average. And why? Because, man, there is some missile-throwing dudes in the NFL now. He's a good thrower, a good passer, and he's been taught extremely well. And it would not shock me if he was taken ahead of Shedeur Sanders. I don't think that'll happen, but I think it's definitely a possibility.
Is there, just to follow up on that, is there a guy in the league that you would say is a comparison right now that's a starter in the league to Jaxson Dart?
I haven't thought of it that way. Give me a name and I'll tell you yes or no.
Purdy?
No, it's a whole different style, whole different body, whole different way of playing. So not quite the same. Jaxson Dart's going to be the guy that he'll run the Giant offense. You know what I mean? The offense, so it fits well. He'll be able to survive up here no matter what the weather is and all that too. So he's an accurate thrower. I'm trying to think of body types that are like him. I'd say physically he's Sam Darnold a little bit. That's about what I would say.
There you go.
Sam Darnold, and maybe a little more athletic. In other words, he knows how to work the pocket and sees the right time to run the football when people are covered. He'll make it happen a little bit. So that's about the best I can come up with off the top of my head.
So, Phil, when people hear and people are going to listen to this, they say, hell, Phil Simms even said he has an NFL average arm. That's not a bad thing. He's just not as gifted as a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson, right?
No, that's right.
Average NFL arms is an NFL arm.
It's really good.
Am I missing this? Yeah.
It's really good. I know. You're right. Great pickup there, Carl. You're so right. But people just don't understand Patrick Mahomes. I mean, come on. It's like endless. It's almost part of the job now to be able to just make these spectacular throws in many positions in NFL games. And so I kind of do this because I can't rank them all and wouldn't want to do it either. But if you put them out there right now and I tried to rank them, Jaxson Dart's going to be somewhere between 15 and 20, probably. Let's just put it that way, which is really, really good. You don't have to have a damn cannon to survive in the NFL. But what it does do, and we don't correlate this, and I love this when people, arm strength is overrated. That's like saying, speed at wide receiver, really overrated. He's just a good route runner. Yeah, my aching rear end. I mean, come on.
And it's always aching.
Yeah, it's always aching. But you know what I'm saying? There are plays in a game that this elite group of quarterbacks make that the other group cannot make. And it always usually comes down to this, just power throwing of the football. Some quarterbacks look down the field and it's a 20-yard throw down the seam and it's tight, but to them it's wide open because they can zip it in there. And there's another group that go, oh my God, coach, he was really covered, so I couldn't do it, because they know physically they don't have that extra gear to rip it in there and make the play look just commonplace.
To follow that up though, Phil, I remember you telling me numerous times over the years when you were doing the games on CBS, you'd be going to team facilities and training camp and then during the season. And then, you would say, wow, a couple of years later, I was at this practice and the guy is a much better thrower of the ball. He's improved. You can improve those things. I mean, Tom Brady as a 6th round pick was not the same Tom Brady as a thrower of the ball in his prime. So if he is right now coming in a very competent, middle of the pack NFL arm, that's not to say that at some point he's not going to be a Lamar Jackson or something, but that it can't get better, right?
Absolutely. I say it every year. If the quarterback doesn't improve from year 1 to year 2, you got the wrong guy. And because you learn how to manipulate these footballs are so damn good now. I'm jealous of that. Of course, I'm jealous of the money too. But the footballs just, they're so easy to throw. But learning, like just take Tom Brady. He had a good arm in college, and it's a good arm for the NFL. But he was really into making it better, and he did it where his techniques and mechanics were so good. Even his last year playing at Tampa Bay, he would be throwing balls during the game, and I could hear it hit the pads of the receiver 20 yards down the field. That son of a, because his golf swing, Bob, it was perfect. His throwing motion is perfect. For all these gurus are out there, why aren't you teaching what Tom Brady did? Instead of you making up this new way to do it. Well, we want to do this and, all this other crap. That's just what it is. It's crap. Tom Brady's motion. I have pictures of him in my trunk. This is terrible.
Wow.
I got pictures of Tom Brady.
NCI New Jersey here.
Yeah, I know. I got him, Baker Mayfield. I got about 5 of them where they're in positions, and I go, this is why they throw the ball so well. And I take it out every once. I got it in a folder, so it's not like they're. And I take it out and I show, look at this. Look where his arm is. It's not above his head. It's like 8 miles to the right because they rotate so hard and their arm just follows. And that's why they can throw it so hard, so accurately. And their arm never gets weaker as their career goes along, which is just incredible to watch these guys. And Aaron Rodgers being one of those guys. I got pictures of him too.
Let's talk about Aaron for a second, or more so the team. As of today, he hasn't signed with the team. And you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, in no disrespect to them at all, but I would say that they're shopping hungry now, right? Because either he's coming or he's not. They know that. But boy, as the draft starts to creep up on you, you got to think that ownership is saying, or management is saying, are we sure we're going to get this guy?
Oh, I agree. Damn, if I was a Pittsburgh Steelers and if they got some inside or more information than we know, then that's one thing. But if they're sitting there like us a little bit, then that's got to scare you. I mean, geez, it really does. And of course, if he doesn't sign with them or whatever, what are they going to do? They got to know these answers before the draft. Because they're going to have to draft another quarterback for sure. Probably trade for somebody if they had to too in the NFL.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, Phil. So if let's just say they fall short of Rodgers, they're not picking in a spot where the top guys are. So, people say, well, they could get a Jalen Milroe. Well, we know that he's a
That's project. Not the answer. Yeah.
Right. So are they going to put a Cordell Stewart offense in for him until he can get up to speed, or will he ever? Right. So they are actually, the Giants were in that position, but then they go get the 2 best available veterans out there to at least give them some cushion in terms of their decision making. But Pittsburgh doesn't even have that cushion. I don't know if they have anybody on the roster right now that they're comfortable going into the season with.
Well, yeah, I mean, you heard Mike Tomlin say, well, we'll go with Mason Rudolph. And he was there before, and he actually played pretty well for the Steelers when he was in there. I think my memory, I should know this. I think he won a playoff game. And he actually played pretty well in Buffalo, too, in the game they lost. So, he's a guy that can get in there and run the offense and everything. Let me go back to this real quick. Second year, Bob, you talked about it. It was on. Did you watch Malik Willis play up in Green Bay? Oh my gosh, what a revolution. He was a different guy. He was in Tennessee during the offseason and preseason. I would call Matt, and we did it on one of our podcasts. if you see Malik Willis, he's a totally different guy. I mean, it was amazing. Running the system the right way, his athletic ability really showed out. And they traded him to Green Bay because they didn't want any quarterback controversies in Tennessee. And in Green Bay, he gets to play 2 games to start. Hell, he graded out almost at 100%. I mean, he was fantastic. So it just shows you, if you really got the right system and coach, whatever, and the wherewithal to do it and be tough enough, that you can improve greatly as a quarterback in the NFL from year 1 to year 2. Hey, what they should have done, hold it.
Go ahead, Carl.
But Bob, what Pittsburgh should have done, they should have traded for Joe Milton. You know, he's my guy. I've been pumping him for a long time, it seems like. And you know why New England got rid of him, right, Carl? Why'd they get rid of him?
Why?
Because they got the 3rd pick of the draft.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And, you know, there's too much conflict there. Too many people on the team and whatever really like Joe Milton. But I will say this, Drake May, I wasn't against him, but I had some things that bothered me, but I did not see him during the season. Hell, he was really, really good as a rookie. And he's got big time arm. He's the top echelon there, Carl, throwing that damn ball with speed. He can let it go. And New England did a great job picking him.
Yeah, so, now he's going to work with Josh McDaniels, which at the end of the day, when Josh McDaniels has been very good as an OC. Yeah, you know what? He's got a little bit of a Tom Brady back up there in New England. It really is. And I would say his arm is probably a little stronger early in his career than Tom Brady's was, and that's saying a lot.
Talking about strong arms, how much more improvement are we going to see from a guy like Jaden Daniels? He's dangerous right now. He's scary. And he's got Kingsbury calling his plays. What is that going to look like next year for him or for the rest of the league? Yeah, well, I think it's kind of what we've been talking about. We'll see parts of that. He's probably going to be a little more power thrower or have that in his arsenal even a little more, even though he doesn't need it. I mean, he is a great passer of the football, and he's just got just that really God-given talent of knowing when to move, how to do it, making it look easy. I mean, he is Mr. Smooth big time. I mean, it's like I don't know who said it once. He goes, man, there's 3 O's in smooth when you talk about Jaden Daniels. It is really, and it's easy. His throwing motion, it's not good. It's beautiful. It's literally beautiful. If you could construct it, it's almost the way you'd want to teach it. And that's why. Oh, another picture going in the trunk. Yeah, it's well done. No, hey, Bob, I have high standards. You got to do it for at least 4 or 5 years before I throw you in the trunk. So. But, you know, the thing that I noticed about him, the first, let's say, 5 or 6 games of the season, you cut the film on and you say, well, he's a one-look quarterback and he takes off. And then as the season went on, you could tell they just started giving him more and more. And then he had the whole field available to him. And I'm like, this guy has really improved from that first 5 games, the first month of the season to the last half of the season, last 3 quarters of the season. Yeah. He found number 2 and 3 with ease, Carl, is what we're really talking. He could go, don't like it, and just keep moving through the process. And Cliff Kingsbury did a great job with him. They did a great job of managing. And I think Kingsbury, without question, was running a different offense there in Washington than he did out in Arizona. And it fit Jaden Daniels to a T. And everybody kept saying, don't you worry about how thin he is. No. I mean, Lamar Jackson's thin. When he came in the league, I sure as the hell didn't worry about him either. Yeah. So, you know, that's. He came into CBS after he won the Heisman Trophy, and I think everybody in our studio came up and goes, good luck, you know, you should put a little weight on. And I actually went up and shook his hand. I said, has everybody told you need to put weight on? He goes, yep. And I said, let me tell you, stay the way you are. God made you this way, and it's got you the damn Heisman Trophy. So don't listen to people putting weight on. That's the last thing you want to do. And I said to him, don't worry. As time goes on, you will put it on. Okay. which I'm an expert at talking about that. But oh well. You know Howard Cross. Howard Cross, yes.
We can't kill him.
Yeah, maybe in a preseason game this year, we'll get him on a scale and see what he weighs.
Don't do it to him, Phil.
Oh, just
be kind.
Well, why don't we do this? Let's find out what he weighs, and we'll give him 2 or 3 weeks to see how much weight he can lose. Then we'll say, hey, he steps on it. Hey, great. Howard, you lost 20 pounds.
I like the positive approach.
Yeah, try to go ahead.
I got to ask you about Quinn Ewers.
Yes.
Where do you think he fits in all this?
Yeah, I don't know where he's going to fit exactly. I will give him a little. He played. He was tough. He hung in there for him. He played hurt, abdominal strain. Oh my God, the high ankle sprain on his right. They put a brace on it. I'm like, that man. Oh my! I did that once. I put a brace on for one game. My knee, I felt like it was going to blow out every time I threw the ball because your ankle doesn't move. But the injuries are a big deal. Physically, there's not an overwhelming thing that you look at. He is a good thrower of the football, has wonderful touch, but it's not enough to drive it to way I would through the roof like people thought it was before the season. When he was healthy, which I went back and watched him, he was 100% healthy. I will tell you that he was a different player. Moved around more, ran with the football, looked better in his uniform, and threw the ball better. So he played hurt a lot. So it was a tough judgment for me. But, again, I go back to always to this. I need to see something that gives me great hope that he can really be a successful quarterback in the NFL. And it was hard to see that sometimes just because of the injuries. And I would think Quinn Ewers, I'm just going to guess, I'm going to say round 4. That seems to be either in that first group in the first round, maybe top of the second, maybe. But then it seems like there's always a gap, and it's 4th or 5th round. Last year, I think it was like the 5th round before they got back on it. So I think he's unfortunately going to be in that group.
Phil, I guess my last question is let's look at the quarterback room with the Giants.
Right.
2 distinctly different quarterbacks. Both have won and both have had success in the NFL. Does that room now give, and obviously we know that there's pressure on this coaching staff and the front office, which it should be in every organization. You got to be pressured to win, but does that give them some sense of, okay, well, if one guy doesn't work out or if one guy just starts to falter a little bit, we still got something here that is a competent backup? Does that translate to you as a guy who's sat in the quarterback room and you're looking at 2 guys that have had a lot of success, one more than the other, but can goddamn throw the football? Both of the guys can throw the football. Is that, how you think the coaches are looking at it now?
I would guess so, Carl. I mean, I think Russell Wilson is going to be the starter. I think that's going to be, that's going to be known the first day. Yeah, will they have a competition? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to have competitions now in the NFL when preseason football is nothing and it's hard to do anything. You don't want to show it or whatever. Some teams show it all. Others show nothing. But the makeup of the room with Russell Wilson, who's, I'm just going to say he's a quiet guy and does it with his hard work. And then we got, the guy behind him, Jameis Winston. I mean, he's got enough personality for that whole room and everybody on the team. But that is good. Those kind of guys, as they bring a little life to everything, practice, meetings, and, just loves his work and all that. And I say that, but also I'm kind of a Jameis Winston fan. And everybody goes, well, when's the interception coming? I'll just go to this. What about his stint with Sean Payton down in New Orleans?
That was really good.
Yes. I couldn't.
Before he got hurt.
14 touchdowns, I think 2 or 3 interceptions, and they were 5-2. And I figured when he went there, of course, I know Sean Payton pretty well. Man, he knows how to step on a quarterback. And you're going to play well or you're gone. I mean, it's just it's tough. And I think Jameis learned a lot. I saw it last year in Cleveland, but damn, then it got loose again, and he probably just goes, this playing really well stuff is just a little too boring for me. I want it to be exciting. But too, Tommy DeVito, hey, come on, Tommy DeVito's got talent. This is not just a
Sure.
fun story. He's got a really good arm, spins the ball, can fire it through the weather in anywhere he plays. Hell, he played at Illinois. Man, come on. Down there, they play in nothing but wind. It's a wind tunnel where he played in college. He did great there. And when he played for the Giants, I never looked at it and go, wow, he just doesn't have the arm. He's got good feet too. So I think it's a good situation. It'll be interesting if they did draft a quarterback in the first round, what that situation would turn to. And so this will be interesting. Go ahead.
I almost think with Tommy DeVito, because he had the success 2 years ago. Last year, he got hurt, got slaughtered, and the team was a mess. But I almost feel like it would almost be better for him to be out of New Jersey at this point, because I feel like people just view him now as, he had that run and the manja and the paisan from New Jersey and living with mom and the chicken cutlets. Whereas people, he's on the team for a reason. They're not keeping him.
Yeah.
He didn't earn a spot last year because he's a sideshow. Gable really likes him. But I feel like the perception of him from the outside national media and obviously locally is just, oh, yeah, he's the Jersey Italian kid that does this. And people are looking past how he's developed as a player a little bit.
Yeah, and he has really developed.
You know what? That is a great point, and I would say 100% behind that, Bob, that it would do him good and people would realize the talent instead of the side story that you're talking about. And I watched him. I told him one day I was down at the facility, and I said, I got to tell you, Tommy, man, your warm-ups, they're like all-star warm-ups. You're unbelievable. And he goes, oh. I said, yeah, I watch you. You're on the field. You throw 900 footballs before the team comes out the stretch. And man, he lets it go too. But that's a really good point. And there is a place for him in this league. And if the Giants, whatever they do with him, he'll be picked up, I think, immediately by anybody else if that ever did happen. And it'd be the best thing for him too. So, hey, how about some of these other quarterbacks? We got Jack Dart, Tyler Shough at Louisville has been a high riser and all that. I do believe there's something else that happens that catches me by surprise. He will be drafted high in the second round. And there's a few teams that, I'm not going to be the gossip guy, but I've heard and I go, wow, that really makes sense. The where it can work out. Kyle McCord, polished pocket quarterback. He's got all the throws. My gosh, he got 3 years worth of throws and one up in Syracuse, and he really played well. And of course, our family's a little, what's the word for it? Invested in Kyle McCord, and we might always be, but hey, look, he answered the bell and everything there, up in Syracuse. I'm really happy for him. Will Howard from Ohio State. I was never crazy about him during the season. In fact, I was underwhelmed by him. But I watched him work out the other day, and the energy, and it's like he's a different person, and rightly so. He won the championship. It did something to him. He looks like he's in better shape. The throwing the football looks like it could be better, which it needed to be better. And, he threw it. It was okay for Ohio State, but it wasn't okay for the NFL. And I think he's made a really good adjustment. Jalen Milroe, we talked about. Ewers, we talked about. What was the last one? I had a couple. But Brady Cook, there's other guys. Brady Cook from Missouri. The sleeper.
I don't hear the sleeper.
Well, kind of. This is a rough one. Is Mertz at the University of Florida? He got hurt. So he had a ACL or a PCL or something like that surgery. But he's got the body, mobility. He's got a good arm. I think he's like 6'3" or 6'4", can really move around. And somewhere I find him to be a little intriguing. If he wouldn't have got hurt, he could have had a decent say in this draft. But I liked him a lot when I watched him, whatever he had down in Florida. And here's my guy.
I think I know where you're going here.
Go ahead. Who is it?
The kid from Oregon?
Absolutely, Dillon Gabriel. Absolutely.
Wow.
Man, I mean, he is dead-eyed Dick throwing the football. He's got a strong arm. I asked the quarterback who was around him, and I said, well, give me somebody, whatever, that really just knocks you. You just couldn't believe it. He goes, oh, Dillon Gabriel. I said, really? He goes, man, he can throw it. He's accurate. He's got a powerful arm. And I bring this up for this reason. Bob, you knew. Dillon Gabriel is taller than Kyler Murray, Bryce Young, and Tua Tagovailoa. But it's going to work against him big time. He played at Central Florida. He was really, really good at Central Florida. Goes to Oklahoma. Oh, my God. Beats Texas. Has a great year. And I don't know if he was, I forgot off the top of my head if he was there 1 or 2 years. I think just 1. Then he goes to Oregon, or maybe he was there 2. I'm not sure. But puts up great numbers in the play. The numbers, you could see why. And at Oregon, I really liked him big time. You know, he's kind of getting the same treatment that Bo Nix did last year. Oh, well, Oregon does this and that. And me and Matt disagree a little bit on all this, but I said, Matt, when he's people around him, he changes his arm angle and still throws rifles. And that goes, yeah, I know, but he does get engulfed. Well, I don't know what to say about that. It doesn't bother me as much as it did Matt. But I'm just interested to see if where he gets drafted and how he's perceived on the team and what he does once he gets there. I'll be following him pretty close.
Okay, if you were to, where do you think he could get drafted? Or is he like one of these wild cards that could show up in the 3rd round for one team, but another team says we wouldn't take him until the 6th?
Well, I think most people probably realize he's going to go late no matter what, so they're not going to jump the gun. But there are many teams. I mean, come on, I hate to say this, but everybody would think this way as I talk. Miami, he's Tua, except he's more athletic and has a stronger arm. Gets rid
and
of
he's taller.
And he's taller. Yeah, there you go. But it just makes sense. You know, every time Tua gets hurt, they just fall apart down there. So he would be, you know, I really believe it. I think he throws the ball with more power. He can stretch the field because he can really air it out. And his athletic ability is, without question, another notch above Tua's. So makes a little sense to me. And it wouldn't shock me somewhere. I don't know. I'm not good at picking rounds for these quarterbacks. He could be anywhere from 4th to 7th rounder picked in the draft.
Well, the latest Sims Complete has dropped. You can check it out on Believe, just like we're on Believe. Make sure you subscribe, Apple, Spotify, write a review. Go to the Believe YouTube channel, subscribe to all this stuff, leave comments, not only for Sims Complete, but for us. The only thing we have over Sims Complete, Banksy, is we got the mug.
Got the mug.
We got the mug.
Yeah, you got it. You know what I like? I like, hey, Carl. Carl's sitting there going, damn, can we stop talking about these quarterbacks and talk about some edge rushers? And
No, I wanted to hear about the quarterbacks. I really did. The edge rushers, I could tell you, you know, chapter and verse on those, but these quarterbacks, I'm not that knowledgeable on. That's why you're here.
Well, let me say this about you, Carl. You're a great example about this. When I talk, people say, well, why would they draft this when they already got that? And, you know, the New York Giants, through 2 Super Bowl different teams and runs, did the same thing. I'll never forget when we drafted you, I went, how many linebackers do we need? I thought we would like draft a wide receiver, this, that. And, you know, of course, I found out, you know, they knew what the hell they were doing. And then, of course, the second run, you know, it seemed like every year they drafted somebody, brought in Chris Canty or, you know, whatever. They just
drafted Kiwanuka. That's the famous Ernie Accorsi line.
You're
when
right.
When he was asked, you got Strahan, you got OC, you got Tuck, you got all these other guys. Why are you taking Matthias Kiwanuka? He never can have enough pass rushers.
Right.
You don't be, and I think he actually said this, never be afraid to add on to your strength. And if you keep one unit so strong, that can dominate the whole team, of course, and make you better. So, you know, I never would have thought that way, but after the successes that teams have done it seems to work out every time somebody makes one of these picks. So, Carl, I'm really glad they picked you, though. Worked out.
I am too.
Yeah.
Worked out okay.
You both got 2 rings out of it.
You were on Super Bowl 21. I had it on. It was in here on NFL Network was running, I guess. And damn, Carl made like 50 tackles. And John Madden, I don't think there was one play that didn't go, hey, this Carl Banks.
I always say that, Phil, I mean, Everyone remembers the famous, Willis Reed, if you're old enough, coming out injured, hitting the jump shots and hitting the first 2 shots against the Lakers in the NBA championship game. No one remembers Walt Frazier's triple-double, 38 points, 18 assists, 11 rebounds, whatever the numbers were. Carl Banks was, to you, that's like 22 of 25. But if it was 22 of 29 or 30 in that era,
I'm not going to win it.
He might have won the MVP.
You know what, though?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The thing is, I tell people, when people ask what's the best game you played, I'm like, if you could have the perfect game and everything comes together, I said for me it was Super Bowl 21.
Yeah.
Because, there was not a play they ran that I just instinctively felt like I could make the play. So it was nothing they could do. And I was like, I was completely in the zone that game. And then, I don't know if you've had a better game or felt better about throwing the football, but that was as good as perfect as you could get too.
I don't know why I didn't play like that more, but I never overthrew a ball. And what I mean, I just casually threw it. I only reared back and threw the ball 3 times in the whole game where it was close. And I said, I got to let this one go. The rest of them, I was just floating them out there. They were open or whatever. What was I going to say, though, when I was watching it? Hey, I do believe this. I wish, and maybe it's too late to do it, but when they talk about the Super Bowl, it's such a big deal that I wish they would give a offensive MVP and a defense MVP. It's most people only see the game. The fans, writers, and everybody only see it through the offensive side. They don't see the defense. And I think it would be great and really just be good for the league and the public and everybody if we gave one to each side.
Well, look,
we have one for the season.
Eagles,
why not for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, there you go. Good point.
You look at the Philadelphia Eagles and what they did to Patrick Mahomes. They had some plays out there, and they had a couple guys that made most of those plays. So I think that would be, you could make a case for that, because you could have a quarterback that was pedestrian, but he was on the winning team, and you give him the MVP. But the guys on the defense, or a guy on the defense, was really impactful or as impactful as the quarterback.
You definitely could have given it to somebody with the Phillies defense. I would love to see the voting and see how it turned out. I'll bet anything it was overwhelming just Jalen Hurts. Because, again, people just don't see the defensive side when the game is going on.
Justin Tuck would have had a Super Bowl defensive MVP from Super Bowl 42.
Yeah.
Or would have had one in Super Bowl 21. And you could go to every Super Bowl and you will find a guy or two that easily, if you gave them that award, no one would blink.
Yeah. Who did Randy White share it with when he won the MVP? Who was it? Well, whatever. I can't.
Oh, yeah. They had the that's when they voted defensive guy. They could. Yeah. Chuck Howley, I think.
Chuck Howley, it was. That's who I thought. I was afraid to say his name, but those two made it.
I mean, we're getting off on a different tangent here, but the fact that Lawrence Taylor, your teammate, both of your teammates, is the last defensive player to win the league MVP award. It was 1986. That's 40 years. And you think about some of the J.J. Watt seasons and some of these defensive players, and at the end of the day, it's become an offensive game. So I think you're 100% right. Let's get a defensive Super Bowl MVP and just split the award.
But my last thing, it's really, it would be great to push it and see if we could do it. You can always change it. Don't worry about history. But, it's so talked about. And I would do this. I want to talk about this and that. I'd say this sometimes on TV, whatever. And I'd want to, and they go, can you talk about the quarterback? Well, of course I can talk about the quarterback, but really to me, the whole thing is what they're doing, whatever this and that. Yeah, but got to hear the quarterback. I want to hear, okay, I got it. I just watched 3 games to get the damn thing about these guys, but all right, this quarterback, he's really good. All right, whatever. So, hey.
Well, Phil, we appreciate you jumping on with us, for giving us, our audience, a great breakdown of the quarterback. You can get more of it on Sims Complete, also part of the Believe family. You can order the mugs. You go to the Believe merchandise thing. You can get your Believe in Giants mugs. And we appreciate it, Phil. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you, Philly.
Thanks,
Carl,
buddy.
how do we like to end this thing? Tell a friend.
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Believe in Giants.